Scott Fish Bowl season is here. Today's May 19th, and we don't even know this year's scoring system yet. That's okay, because we're going to have a mock draft for it anyway. Based on last year's scoring, we'll go through at least 10 rounds and have some good times. Coming to you live on Optimus Fantasy, this is Monday Night Mock Drafts. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Monday Night Mock Drafts right here on Optimus Fantasy. This is the inaugural episode in a brand new show that will be coming to you every Monday evening until week 1 of the NFL season. I am your host, Evan Sather. Joining me right now are my teammates and guests tonight, Nate Polvogt and Lou Brunson. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
I'm doing all right, man. I'm glad to see this show get off the ground, buddy. I'm really stoked for this. This is going to be a great series for the off season to get people ready for the regular season.
Doing great. Happy to be here with you, my friend.
Absolutely. Likewise with the both of you. So, mock draft season is upon us with Scott Fish Bowl. So, bit of a disclaimer for the audience tonight. You guys have both done Scott Fish Bowl before. This is my first year. I have never done Scott Fish Bowl after all these years that I've heard Matthew Berry talk so much praise about it, and now I'm finally doing it. And now it's this whole new scoring system and whole new league type on Sleeper that I don't know anything about. So that's especially why I'm glad I have the both of you here tonight to help guide the audience here on what to look out for with the scoring system that we're going to get into here. But all we have, as I said at the beginning of the show from last year, is just last year's rules. So I'll bring that up here real quick here. So we don't know how many total teams we have yet. We don't know how many total leagues yet of the 12-team system that we have. Start one quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. No kicker. That's as of last year. I mean, if we have kickers this year,
they're there. You just don't have to start one on MFL. But on Sleeper, you have to start a kicker. If your league is hosted on Sleeper, you have to start a kicker.
So and that's the thing too. Now that I don't really know a lot about Scott Fish Bowl, is some of it going to be on my fantasy league? Is all of it going to be on Sleeper this year? I missed that part.
So it just depends on your division. Yeah, it's split up. Yeah. Okay,
so this will be interesting. So some of us may be that's news to me. So 1 super flex, 6 flex. On Sleeper, a flex is replaced by a required kicker, and like we just said, kickers can't be flexed. 11 players on the bench, no trading allowed, $100 blind bidding for waivers, no stat corrections counted, season averages in the playoff weekly finals on the week before playoffs to determine if playoff teams, a weekly game against the median. So that all sounds pretty simple, pretty standard for, how many leagues are we going to have that people have to manage? Yeah, we don't want to have one person looking after thousands of leagues, right?
Yeah, no, that would be insane. But this, I think last year, Lou, what were we at? About 3,000 people? I think it was right about 3,100 got in.
Honestly, couldn't even tell you, but it wouldn't be shocking at all. It was enormous.
Well, the way it's expanded, guys, the last couple of years is insane because now we have live drafts. Live drafts just started like 3 years ago, but now we've got them in Chile. We had one in Lithuania last year. We've got them in London. We've got them in Dublin, Ireland. They're doing a couple in Brazil. They did one in Mexico City last year. This thing's taken the world by storm, man. Like it's just really cool to see, and for such a good cause too.
I believe I read Australia is a brand new live draft for this year too.
Yes. Yeah, which is
and
awesome.
Mexico City was just re-announced for this year as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yes. That's the other one I read too. That's fantastic that we're getting more popularity with this. Even if American football is still kind of a weird American phenomenon. I think maybe I'm just in denial, fellas. Like, I think this is starting to become a global game.
It is starting to. I mean, it's more than we've got people on our staff. Our whole NFL division is based in Australia for Optimus. So it is global, man. And it's really cool to see that this sport, and it brings people together as well, especially the fantasy side of it.
Most definitely. So, we'll get into last year's scoring here because that's all we have to go off of for tonight. So 1 point per 50 yards for passing, 6-point touchdown passes, 2 points for 2-point conversions. Shocking, I know. 1 point rushing for 10 yards, 6-point rushing touchdown, 2-point conversions, half a point per first down, quarter of a point per rush attempt. 1 point receiving yards, so for 10 yards receiving, excuse me. So that's a tenth of a point per catch. 6 point touchdown, 2 points for 2 point conversion, half a point for a first down, and it looks like half PPR for quarterbacks, kickers, and running backs, and then full PPR for wide receivers. Tight end premium for last year, 1.5 PPR. Looks like I missed out on some interesting scoring last year, guys. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah. So he made the shift a couple of years ago where he took out all of the negative scoring. It was like, let's see how insanely high we can score, and it's been fun the last couple of years because you're strictly, you don't like quarterbacks. You don't care if they throw interceptions. Doesn't matter. It makes no difference. Jameis Winston, if he's a starter. I know, right?
That's the one.
Like, come on, bring us Jameis. But yeah, like just the uptick in positive scoring has just been really fun the last couple of years.
Oh, you guys have any predictions on what they're going to change for this year?
I don't think there's going to be a whole lot, Lou. Do you?
I kind of suspect not, because specifically that special teams, the returning did not take off last year like was the hope. And with them pushing the touchback rules up to the 35 from the 30, I know the math says that it is objectively better now to kick to returns rather than kick to touchbacks.
Yep.
So I suspect that we're going to see largely the same. There might be like slight tweaks sort of thing. Like maybe they try to do, okay, we're going to kind of goose this position's up a little bit and this one's down a little bit. But outside of that, I suspect it'll be mostly the same.
Yep. Yeah, I can't imagine they change too much. I mean, maybe they might up the kicker points, but I don't know how much more you can up the kicker points at this point. I mean, there were times, man, the last 2 seasons where there were kickers who probably should have been super flexed on MFL because they were scoring more than half of the quarterbacks.
My goodness. Yeah. So I'll go through last year's scoring here real quick before we get started. I know we're all getting antsy to get this mock draft started. Tight end extra 1 point per first down. 3.3 points for a made extra point. That's interesting number. I don't know how that came to be. Decimal scoring for field goals. So that's okay. Yeah, I see where this comes from. Yeah. So 24-yarder is 2.4 points. I kind of like that. I should consider that for my other leagues.
Yeah,
so it's a neat scoring
system. 0.1 point per yard.
Yep.
I could just imagine I'll become the most unpopular commissioner once I put that into my regular leagues because people just hate kickers, and I feel like the only one. I treat kickers as if they're people.
They are people. I love kickers.
They're people. They're just not fantasy people.
Oh, stop it, Lou.
I will not.
10 points for any punt, kickoff, return, touchdown. This is why I missed Devin Hester. 1 point for 5 yards kicked or punt return. 6 points if your player recovers the ball in the end zone for a touchdown, which you love to see that. So not counting touchdowns as first downs, while the NFL does. 6 total is cleaner. Sleeper does not count them already. MFL's different. And Sleeper and NFL will use different data providers, and as well as a very rare occasion to cause different scoring and extra work to adjust it. More power to the crew. I don't think I'd be able to handle having to juggle between 2 different platforms. But,
yep.
All right, I think that's enough reading of the rules from me. I think we should get this started. What do you guys think?
Yeah, man. Let's get it fired up, and then I'm going to let you guys to it. Have a great show.
Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Nate. Have a good night.
Have a good night, guys.
Okay, so we have Sleeper ADP to go off of right now based off of just projected numbers for this year. So it looks like Brian starts off with Jamar Chase. Pretty inoffensive pick, wouldn't you say, Lou?
Yeah, I mean, you really cannot go wrong with any elite guys. Like, that was the one thing I felt like I learned last year was just don't try to get cute early. Just get the elite guys that should be going, because they still should be going.
It's being that tight ends get such extra bonus points, is there a case to make reaching for a tight end such as like a Sam Laporta or a Brock Bowers way earlier compared to, like, let's say Justin Jefferson or even Saquon?
People definitely tried it last year. Bully tight end was a big deal, especially with the third round reversal. You'd see people loading up on the Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride, trying to grab two of those guys to be able to throw in. And it pretty universally did not work well unless you hit on someone else later, like Jaden Daniels. Obviously kind of broke every fantasy format in a super awesome way last year. And you needed to hit on something like that in order to make it work.
I think Vince heard exactly what I said because he went Brock Bowers right away. And being that Superflex is there, it's not unusual to see quarterbacks going this early as well, right?
Right. The quarterbacks, because of specifically the rushing quarterbacks, because you get those points per rush, those count for quarterbacks as well. So the guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, they're going early and with really good reason.
Absolutely. And I see, being that it's still Superflex, I see no problem with all of these picks so far here in the first round. And I think I'm going to go with a safe pick here for the sake of number 11, Amon-Ra St. Brown. I can't see how you go wrong with that. Let's see what you do here, Lou.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm going safe here as well. And, let's go Jaden Daniels.
I'll tell you what, I drafted Jaden Daniels in a one quarterback redraft league last year in something like the 15th round or something like that, just because the value was so great. And I already had Jalen Hurts as my main quarterback. I ended up trading Hurts in the middle of the season because I didn't expect Daniels to have that great rookie season at all. It was a pick that happened to work out, and I never like drafting two quarterbacks in a one quarterback redraft league. And see, I like this stack that you already got started here between Jaden Daniels and Devon Achane because I forgot the name of the rookie running back the Dolphins drafted this year, but I can't see anybody dethroning Achane.
Rondé Gadsden?
That sounds right.
End.
Okay.
Man, I'm out of rookie mode now. I don't even know anymore. But yeah, it was, again, another late 6th round guy. It's kind of like, okay, sure. Ollie Gordon, that's what it is.
Yes.
I had the initials. Ollie Gordon. And the kind of good thing about Gordon is that he's kind of a little bit of a tougher running back, which Achane and Wright are not, but I'm not worried.
Yeah, and I think I would be in agreement with the retro coach here, reaching on Sam Laporta. Probably not the best idea anymore, considering that the Lions showed that they want to get more of their wide receivers involved besides Amon-Ra. Yeah,
I do really like Gatorator's start here between Bijan and Trey McBride. It's really strange how similar the Cardinals offense looks going into 2025 as it looked going into 2024. And I'll expect some variation, obviously, because it's the NFL and the ball bounces in weird ways. But Trey McBride is still going to be the stick that stirs that drink, man. And it's for a 2nd round pick. Like, I would not be shocked by the time we actually get into, full on Scott Fish Bowl season. I would not be shocked if we're seeing McBride as a solid 1st round pick.
Yeah, no, I can't see why McBride wouldn't be a 1st round pick considering these amazing, because I don't see why tight end bonuses would be going away for this year either, being that, at least from what I understand, scoring is usually not subtracted, only added.
Yeah, and I will admit, last year was my first year in Scott Fish Bowl, so I can't really say anything as far as like trends over time and that sort of thing. But yeah, it really seems to be, okay, what can we do to throw more in as opposed to taking more out? Now, they will do a little bit, like away the negative plays for quarterbacks, for instance, but they upped the amount of passing yards you needed to register for a point, like that sort of thing. So it's definitely on the more minor scale, but it can still happen.
Yeah, no, that certainly makes sense. And Lou, I don't know if you said that you'll be attending any live drafts for Scott Fish Bowl this year. I will be present at Chicago's this year at the Maggiano's Italian restaurant right there in downtown Chicago. So not only is this my first Scott Fish Bowl, this will be my first live draft with the live board as well, which I've never been able to do anything like that. At least to my understanding, I don't know if it's going to be digital or if it's going to be like the old days of slapping the names on the draft board.
Like putting the stickers up there?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I actually am. Let me make my pick here real quick.
Sure. There you go, Kittle.
Again, got to lock in that tight end. That third round reversal is so excellent when you're picking towards the back part of the round there. And I actually am going to be attending the live draft out here in Seattle in late July. I'm super excited. It's last year being my first year in Scott Fish Bowl. It's my first chance to attend a live draft since I left home, actually. So it's been more than a decade now. I'm really, really excited.
Yeah, so I really like your Kittle pick here, being that I think the 49ers are really going to lean a lot more on Kittle this year, considering their wide receiver room. As much as my buddy Sean Evans is going to hate to hear me say that, because I know that he's a big believer in Juwan Jennings. Do you agree with me on that, Lou?
I'm a big believer in Jennings. I don't trust Kyle Shanahan, but Kittle's he's too good. And everyone else has some sort of question involved. McCaffrey coming back from the injury, Ayuk coming back from the injury, Pearsall, I mean, he obviously was injured early last year and then was a rookie, so he kind of half 1 foot in, 1 foot out. And then Jennings, I mean, he didn't have any issues pop up per se, but he still was never supposed to be the guy. And Kittle is he's just kind of there and still excellent. So I don't see any reason that he wouldn't be, especially early in the season as the 49ers are getting their feet and their bearings about them for the season.
So we're almost through 3 rounds here, Lou. So maybe this question is best until these next 3 picks are made. But you did mention that you like Gator Raiders start a lot. Now that he picked CMC as his second running back, 3rd round he fell. I love the value that's still out of CMC, despite scaring the ever-living crap out of everybody with the injuries that he's had. I myself have had. Why am I blanking on what he had last year? Achilles tendonitis. I've had that before in 1 leg. I can't imagine how much worse that is in 2 legs. Are you scared of CMC even going that late?
I like to look at it in the context of who else is available, in this case at running back. So like Jacobs, Taylor, Genty, Hall all went shortly thereafter, right? I would be taking all of those guys before CMC. I understand that this format is a little different simply because you're not just playing the people in your league, but come the playoffs, you're playing everyone. So there's a certain element of if you're not first, you're last. So I understand the swing for CMC, kind of that best ball mentality almost, even though this is not a true best ball format.
I think that's interesting that you're saying you want Genty, Taylor, and Jacobs over CMC, including in this format. We know CMC is going to get that sweet PPR. Am I wrong about that, Lou?
I want them because I am a relatively risk-averse drafter for the most part, or I should say I like to be very calculated about the risks that I take. And CMC just, at least as of this point, isn't one that I want to take this year. So I prefer those other running backs, but I absolutely understand the thought process behind him as a pick at this point in the 3rd round.
I can fully understand that. I think that's a good sentiment to have about CMC at this stage in his career, considering that even though Kyle Shanahan is an offensive genius with the 49ers, including when he was the OC for the Atlanta Falcons, I still think his offenses are weird. Like, there will be games where Ayuk just doesn't get the football, and there will be other games where Kittle just doesn't get the football. at that point, do you feel that taking 49ers is still risky?
Like you said, it's a great ecosystem, like you said. But one of the things one of our colleagues, Kevin Tompkins, likes to talk about so much is getting our, drafting players on teams where they really siphon their touches to a couple of players. The Vikings, for instance, were great at it last year. The 49ers don't do that. It's who's open, who matches the game plan. And a lot of times, we're not going to know how that shakes out until we're halfway through the second quarter of a game, which doesn't help, unfortunately.
No, for sure. I can see that Nate had a difficult time picking Kelce there, but honestly, Kelce in the 4th round, I would not be offended by that, getting Kelce that late, considering how much he was scaring everybody last year, too, with his lack of targets. Everybody's saying he's washed at this point, but Mahomes, the Matt Nagy offense, I've never liked, whether it's the Chicago Bears or the Kansas City Chiefs, because he was running some of the most vanilla, bland plays between just, running back draws, wide receiver flat routes, and then Patrick Mahomes, as Gator Raiders just took, became an expensive game manager. Kelce going in the 4th round, Lou, does that worry you as well, too?
Not in this format, simply because the tight end premium is so incredibly extreme in this. He's not going to be playoff Kelce. He's on his LeBron James era. Again, where it's just save it for the playoffs. Let me get mine. There we go. Yep. And then
I like that value in Devontae Adams. I think a lot of people are going to be sleeping on him as well, because somebody else has to catch the football in Los Angeles that isn't a Charger and isn't Puka Nacua.
Yeah. I love Devontae this year. I think his floor is a top 10 wide receiver, and his upside is like top 5, because that's what Matt Stafford does with his wide receivers.
So I think it's Terrence Ferguson is the name of the tight end that the Rams drafted this year. Yep. I don't have much faith in Terrence Ferguson being a quality starting tight end. Now that Tyler Higbee is done, and their other tight ends, as far as pass catching goes, they don't really do a lot for me. Do you know enough about Terrence Ferguson's prospect profile, and is he going to be a good fit for the Rams?
I mean, if he'll block, yeah, and I think he can. If you are making bets on rookie tight ends to kind of show out early on, you're going to want to be placing bets on the ultra athletic tight ends, and that's just not Ferguson. He like a decent one, maybe Jake Ferguson in Dallas. They're like that style, kind of like not bad, but nothing to write home about either.
Yeah, Jake Ferguson is another interesting name at tight end. Nobody has taken him yet, which I think is very interesting. So are people just completely turned off by Jake Ferguson? Do they have any faith in Dak Prescott left? Or why do you think he's going this late at this point?
I think memories are short, honestly. With Prescott getting hurt last year, once Dak got hurt, Ferguson stopped doing anything. And Ferguson himself was hurt early in the season when Dak was healthy. So Ferguson just kind of sat there like a bump on a log a lot last year. And I think that's just the last kind of picture that people have of him in their head, which I understand. With Pickens getting there now in Dallas, I think that Ferguson is going to see less volume as a result as well, which I kind of get. And for a player like Ferguson, he needs that volume to really show up strongly for fantasy.
Cooper Rush was not really doing that Mike McCarthy offense many favors, especially with a Jake Ferguson, where he'd have like 9 targets in week 16 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and then 1 target against the Houston Texans. I think he got injured in that game, though, to be fair. But he was very much all over the place last year. And I see that we're still going with other guys like Zay Flowers, and I still love these picks here in the 5th round. But people being out on Jake Ferguson, I think I agree with you, Lou. The Dallas Cowboys, I think, are going to be an offense that people forget about. And Dak is now in his 30s. Does he still throw well to CD and George Pickens and Jake Ferguson?
And I mean, the cliff has to come at some point, right? But I mean, for several years now, we've been seeing quarterbacks who are taking care of their bodies in as much as they can, their arms particularly, be able to play well into their late 30s. I mean, Matt Stafford's, as much as he's not the athlete that he used to be, dude can still throw the ball through a freaking piece of plywood from 30 yards out. I'm not saying that Prescott has that kind of arm talent, but I don't really think that there's any reason to believe that he will suddenly fall off this cliff, barring something like, yet more injuries with him.
Yeah, I would think that's what Nate just said here. Ferguson will be fine as in tight end 11-15. I think that's a safe floor range for Ferguson. I would be very surprised if healthy he falls below tight end 15.
It's so tough because that tier of tight end is so big and so wide that you've really got almost 20 guys who could be a low end, tight end 6 on a given week or tight end 26 on a given week. And I wouldn't be shocked at either. And Ferguson's right in the middle of that either. So he could be tight end 20 on the year and have a half dozen tight end 1 games just because the tight end position's not super exciting right now.
I find the tight end position to be even increasingly exciting, but I do hear what you're saying though, because you have maybe 7 or 8 solid tight ends, and then everybody else just feels like a dart throw on any given week, which we were just talking about Jake Ferguson. He was very much a dart throw last year. Now we're starting to see more running backs go off the board from the rookie side where, we didn't, let's see. Yeah, I mean, aside from Genty, we're not seeing a lot of rookies go this early, but now Hampton is gone. Now Caleb Johnson is gone. I don't know if it's different for Scott Fish Bowl, but 6th round, now that we're going for rookies, what do you think of this strategy, especially with some of these teams punting at tight end so far?
I mean, one thing that I love about mock drafts, and I think this is that people can fall into a bit of a trap about this. Mock drafts are a great way to try different stuff on. It's kind of like going to the store, trying the clothes on and seeing if you like how it fits or not. The more mock drafts that you can do, especially Scott Fish Bowl drafts, where it's such a unique scoring system, you're going to be really benefited by trying out different things and seeing, okay, do I like what Brock is doing there out of the 1 spot? He hit wide receiver early, backed it up with 2, quality starting quarterbacks, and now is transitioning into running back. Compare that to someone, like Jeffro here, who in going into his pick in the 6th round doesn't have a quarterback yet. And now through 6 rounds, he doesn't have a quarterback yet. Are they going to like how that feels? I've come out of mock drafts and go, yeah, no, definitely no, I'm not doing this. So that's how I would, don't try to go in trying to get the best team every time. Go in with a plan and try to execute that plan to see how it feels and see what you can pull out of that as far as your comfort level with it.
So, as you just mentioned, Njoku is the first tight end off the board for Jeffro. I have absolutely no faith in this Cleveland Browns offense, but whoever is the starting quarterback for the Browns, somebody's got to get the football, and I've noticed with a lot of quarterbacks, the tight end is typically the safety blanket guy, like the possession receiver type of role. Big body and able to do like maybe a quick slant route or maybe just a quick 5-yard out route and turn around and catch the ball, maybe a curl route. Is Njoku going to be okay in general for fantasy football? Because I'm scared of this Browns offense, Lou.
I think that fear is founded in the Browns offense, and I do believe that Njoku is good. Again, assuming health, which we haven't always been able to assume with him, Njoku has been good enough for long enough, especially, and he is a special athlete at tight end, unlike Ferguson. He is that guy. He's not just that 5 yards, catch the ball, fall down guy. He's going to, he can get open 20 yards down the field. You get him the ball in space and he can make someone miss and take it 40, 50, 60 yards. So the short answer is yes, I do think he's going to be okay. Am I excited enough about it to take him in the 3rd round? Absolutely not. In the 6th round? Yeah, sign me up.
Yeah, so before I make my next pick here, so I like your Kincaid pick. Yeah, Homer. As a second tight end, though, behind Kittle, I like that pick a lot.
Yeah, that's where I came to with it. Is I just I don't want him as a starter, but as someone with some upside, yeah, I can take that. I can take that risk.
And Purdy is your QB2. I like that a lot, too. I know you don't have a ton of faith in Purdy, but I know that I do for sure. Maybe I'm one of few people that believes that Purdy will live up to that big contract extension he just got. Lou, tell the audience why you're not as high on Purdy as I am.
Well, and I mean, to be fair, I did just get him as quarterback 14. I have no problem paying that price for him. It all comes back to, all right, I've compared him to Andy Dalton in a better offense. I might take a bath on that and be proven wrong. I don't really care. This is how I see it. I think Purdy is fine as a quarterback. I don't have a problem with the contract he just got. But I think he's just that, fine. I don't think he's anything special. I don't think he's anything bad. I think he's a very good litmus test for how well do you know the game of football right now based on how you feel about him and where you put him. In a given week, I know, I believe it was Sean Evans saying that he could be should be a top 5 to 7 quarterback. I don't buy that on a season long, but on a week to week basis, yeah, he could absolutely do that. And he probably will at certain points, especially as this offense gets healthy and gets its legs up under it, assuming Trent Williams is healthy, because he is the real linchpin of that entire offensive unit.
Oh, absolutely. Like, if he's not protecting Purdy's blind side, I don't know who else could do either equally as good of a job or at least adequately as good of a job as Trent Williams has. And I thought the 49ers were going to lose him last year, too. He was thinking about holding out.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm pretty sure he's, in his, mid-50s now? Obviously not, but I know he's getting up there. I got to think he's getting ready to hang it up soon. Just try to get that Super Bowl win before he retires.
Well, if we know anything about Kyle Shanahan's and Super Bowls, he can certainly get them there, but winning them, so I actually want to take this in a different direction now, Lou. So as you can see by my team here, I went. Well, actually, it would probably help if I have the right one here. There we go. I did a Jared Goff and Amon-Ra St. Brown stack. Does stacking matter in Scott Fish Bowl?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Not so much during the season. Like, it can help, obviously. It can absolutely help. But where it really matters is in the playoffs, where it comes to that all play, where you are literally just trying to get as far up on that all play scoring list as you can. And in a great offense like the Lions have, even with losing Ben Johnson, there's no real reason they're going to take a giant step back this year. That kind of stack is like that. That's the sort of thing that dreams are made of. I don't usually do things like that because simply because they usually don't work out for me, where I will try and then I'm missing on the second part and going, well, we roll on.
Yeah, so speaking of the Lions offense, not only are they without Ben Johnson, but they also lost Antoine Randall L to work with their wide receivers as well as probably other bits and pieces of their offense as well. Lions fans that I've read about on social media are more angry about losing Randall L than they are about Ben Johnson, because it was no secret that Johnson was eventually going to take a head coaching position. What does the Lions offense look like to you early on without both of those guys on staff?
I mean, I think it's probably going to lose some of the, if I say some of the swagger, like some of those just incredibly cheeky trick plays, you know, Penei Sewell rolling out and catching passes downfield. I have a feeling if it's going to lose something, those are the sorts of things that it will lose. Like that incredibly good offensive line is all still intact. They've got those two dynamic running backs. They've got Goff still running the thing. As of this point, at least, their important wide receiving and pass catching core is all still intact. There's no real reason to think that significant changes will happen. But as far as that penchant for calling the perfect play at the perfect time, I wouldn't be surprised if we see that come back a bit. So maybe we don't see the 50-plus point outbursts quite as often this year, but there's no reason they can't put up 30 a week. They are that good.
I have to agree with you, Lou, as much as that pains me as a Chicago Bears fan, because I don't like the frickin' Lions and I hope they lose again this year, but I have to agree with you here. I think their offense is still going to be a force to be reckoned with. Their defense is still not going to take many steps back. Their secondary still has a lot of question marks for me, but I don't see why they're not a contender again for the top of the NFC North. And I want to take this in a different direction now. So I see the retro coach selected Judkins as his third running back. I have Judkins as my RB3 for my rookie rankings. OptimusFantasy.com, by the way, we do have rookie rankings, me and Nate so far, posted. And I have Quinshon Judkins as my RB3 above Travion Henderson. Lou, am I crazy for thinking higher of Judkins?
Are we talking in Dynasty or this year?
Yes. Both.
All right. So that trepidation you have about the Cleveland offense, I have that too, and that's what's holding Judkins back from that spot for me for this year. I expect your Hamptons, your Hendersons, and I'm not going to go so far as with some of the others, but those two at least to outperform Judkins this year, simply because of that. Now, in terms of Dynasty, Judkins is my RB2, and I have zero issues with that whatsoever. I would take him, well, I have him and a wide receiver basically neck and neck for that spot just behind Genty, and I don't have a problem taking either one of them right behind him.
Yeah, I would wholeheartedly agree. I've heard that Travion Henderson is allegedly going to be the next James White type of running back, which would be pretty much on par with the way the Patriots like to use their running backs. But this was also during the Bill Belichick era. And now we have Mike Vrabel at the helm. And he does not strike me as the type of coach that's going to want to run his running backs the way that Belichick did. So, Lou, is there going to be a new bell cow for the Patriots, and is it even going to be Ramondre Stevenson still?
Well, we have a common thread between those Belichick-era teams and this Vrabel team, and that's Josh McDaniels as offensive coordinator. He's back. And McDaniels, he does not give the ball to just one running back. He almost always splits it up. The one exception was Josh Jacobs' phenomenal year with the Raiders. Why is probably a combination of Jacobs is that good as well as the fact that there was nobody else there. But I mean, we've seen Ramondre Stevenson be a legitimate running back in the NFL. Maybe not great, but at least legitimate. Henderson is expected to be the same. I expect there to be a very annoying running back split in New England yet again.
Lou, what do you think of my last pick? Come on, buddy. Come on, buddy.
I dislike you so much.
So I waited until the 8th round to select my second running back. Yeah, I was about to say, is that really going to kill me if this was the real draft?
No, not at all. Not at all. I just have to give you a hard time because I'm me and you're you. One thing, let me focus on this pick here.
I do like the Debo pick, though. I think the Commanders are going to use him better than the Niners ever did.
Well, and that kind of, it brings me to something else that I want to talk about. If you take a look at Vince Mapstone's team, his last couple of picks there, Rashid Shaheed and Marvin Mims. Yep. The one thing that those two guys have in common is they are returners, and they are the primary returners for their team, both punts and kicks. Last year, the Rashid Shaheed propaganda was out of control. Like, he was going in the 3rd round a lot of times. Marvin
for
Mims,
Scott Fish Bowl?
For Scott Fish Bowl, yeah.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah. Marvin Mims, early on you could get him later, and then the closer and closer actual draft, the more actual drafts went on and that sort of thing, he was creeping ever upwards. I want to say his final resting place in ADP was somewhere in the 6th-ish round. And again, it's the return yards. Any sort of long kick return is essentially worth a start. Just one return. Which played into my selection of Debo there, because we've seen him be on kickoff and punt returns numerous times throughout his career. And it's not like there's that many people there in Washington to do that job. So yeah, I'll go with that.
So the other guy that was mentioned as well is Marvin Mims. I am a Marvin Mims truther, and I think he's going to get more rotational volume than I think a lot of people like to admit. Even if it's only like 40% of the snaps, the quality targets he was getting toward the end of last season were damn good for Marvin Mims. They were having a hard time with the wide receivers they did have between Lil Jordan Humphrey and Devon Vele, who actually, I forgot he got a lot of snaps to begin last season too. It was Josh Reynolds that didn't work out on the team, but now he's gone. Pat Bryant is their new 3rd round rookie pick at wide receiver for the team. He's getting a lot of hype lately as potentially the next Michael Thomas. What do you read into that, Lou? And what can you tell the listeners about his prospect, his profile?
Well, and we've talked about this a little bit before. It's as Denver wide receivers go, I want Courtland Sutton, and that's about it. I don't trust Sean Payton as a coach at all. We've seen oh boy, thanks for that, Nate. Michael Thomas was my first dynasty pick in my home dynasty league, so yeah, I've heard that one time and time again.
And isn't it funny how Slant Boy just became this derogatory label to be putting on wide receivers, as if it's not a route that's highly effective and workable?
Right? And he caught 122 passes. I'm fine with it. You catch as many slants as you want, big guy. It's fine.
My gosh. Yeah, I don't know about you, Lou. I'm sorry. I'll let you finish go ahead. You finish first.
Yeah, and it's just, we've heard Sean Payton, especially since being with the Broncos, talk up these guys: Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Javonte Williams, Marvin Mims, constantly over the last 2 years. And we've yet to see any of them come to fruition. I don't blame people wanting to believe in being in. I do not. I am not placing that betting chip on any of them. I would much rather trade for them later once I've seen some proof, rather than spend that capital drafting them.
Because we think it's pretty much going to be Evan Ingram that becomes a safety blanket for Bo Nix, right?
I mean, that's the thought. They haven't had a real tight end yet.
How long has it been since their last tight end? Was it Julius Thomas that was their last great tight end?
With Peyton Manning, yeah.
Yeah, and we're talking over 10 years ago. Oh, I'm sure there's going to be a smart aleck comment that's going to point out Tim Tebow, but get out of here if that's you. Where was I going with that? Yeah, so I agree with you about Sean Payton as well, where he does like to hype up a lot of guys, but you never know who's actually going to reach fruition with the hype that he puts out to the media because it's really hit or miss. Julius Thomas, we definitely miss you. He was a tight end I had to replace when he retired in 2018 in my first ever Dynasty League. I had to draft 2 tight ends that year. And actually, it wasn't 2018, it was 2017. I drafted Evan Ingram and David Njoku back-to-back first and second rounds. And that put me in second place. I almost won the championship that year after I did that because I had a stacked team. How far these 2 tight ends have come, where Njoku's lucky to stay healthy, and so is Ingram. And now we're starting to see more tight ends late go off the board here. Tyler Warren, Hunter Henry, Pat Freiermuth. I think it's funny that Colston Loveland went off the board before those guys, and honestly, I don't blame people for wanting Loveland over these guys. So Loveland or Warren, who's going to have the better rookie season, Lou?
If you're asking me to pick one of them, I'm picking Warren. And it's simply because of how terrible the Indianapolis tight ends and pass catchers in general were in 2024. Like I don't have the appropriate words to describe it, but it's like they couldn't catch, they can't run routes, they can't stay healthy. Tyler Warren should do at least something.
So do we think Tyler Warren is going to get like these enormous target share in Indianapolis versus Colston Loveland on the Bears, where the Bears have much higher quality passing, receiving targets, as well as just a much better offensive system with Ben Johnson?
I'm not saying that Tyler Warren's going to challenge Brock Bowers for 160 targets in his rookie season. That's ludicrous. But I also don't see a reason that he can't approach 90 or 100, and that's essentially what Dalton Kincaid did his rookie year. So, I mean, yeah, probably. And like you said, I'm a big believer in the Bears' offensive weapons that they have outside of DeAndre Swift. Between Burden, those wide receivers, just everything that they've got there. And I think that's a lot for a rookie tight end to overcome.
Makes total sense. And because I am not somebody that likes to believe in rookie tight ends until they enter their 3rd season in the NFL. I think they just need at least 2 seasons just to get accustomed to the NFL level because, unless you're Brock Bowers, it's really hard to adjust to the high level that's out there. Same thing with quarterbacks. Like, I don't like to judge quarterbacks until their 3rd season. So, Lou, you picked Anthony Richardson as your 3rd quarterback. Is Richardson's amazing value that late?
I talked before about the types of bets that the risks that I like to take and that sort of thing. Richardson is one of those. His pass catchers let him down in a big way last year. I understand he's still got more work to do as a quarterback, and I absolutely believe that. And he still has top 3 upside, thanks to his legs and rushing ability, combined with the fact that his arm is special. He might be the new Michael Vick in that he never gets there until he's way later in his career. And I will probably be that guy taking those, when you like a nice Hawaiian punch guy over and over and over again, just taking him late in drafts every single year. That'll probably end up being me. And I'm okay with that.
Shout out to my Fantasy Now Plus buddy, Justin Bowerly. He is a Colts fan, and he is also a truther for Anthony Richardson, pointing out that it's his age that was also a big factor going number 4 overall in 2023, where he was absolutely not NFL ready. He was not developed well by the Colts. They threw him to the Wolves. He has struggled, and he's... I don't know. I think Anthony Richardson also... I wonder if there's much to that one game where he took himself out for one drive because he needed a break. Do you read much into that at this point, Lou?
I mean, I think it's one of those things that looks a lot worse than it is. The NFL talking head machine being what it is, it got a lot more press than it actually deserved. Guys get tired, they need a break, that sort of thing. I know the play that they had called afterwards was a handoff running play, so he would have gotten the break there, but that's the sort of thing that happens when you have a guy like Richardson who doesn't have a lot of time on task. He had 12 total starts in college. 12. If you look at the 24 rookie class, I think the lowest was something like 47 or 48 starts in college. Wow. Absurd when you compare those, which you kind of were getting at with his age there. But yeah, so, and then you look at his first 2 years and how much time he lost, how much starting time he actually lost. He's got a ridiculously small amount of time on task as a quarterback. We are going to see things like that. We're going to see problems. The fact that he's been able to perform as well as he has with as little time to develop as he's had is, in my opinion, pretty impressive.
And the fact that he still has a job at this point, I think, is also impressive, too, because the Colts definitely reached on him at number 4. They loved his potential. I think on most teams, he wouldn't have gone that early, but if he was expected to start for, like, the Titans, for example, do you think he would have been treated like, oh, God, I'm having a brain fart here. Who was the quarterback they just replaced with Cam Ward?
Will Levis.
Does Richardson get the Levis treatment if he was drafted by the Titans?
Probably. I mean, I don't think you take Anthony Richardson that high unless you have a solid infrastructure and plan to develop him, and you stick to it. Kind of like, and I hate to be that homer person, but like what Buffalo did with Josh Allen. He's going to sit. Now, Allen was pressed into service too soon because of injuries and whatnot, and you can't control that sort of thing. But barring something like that, Richardson should have learned for at least a year. The fact that he hasn't been allowed to do that speaks to Indianapolis being the ecosystem that it is there with Irsay and Steichen and what have you. Wherever you want to lay that blame is up to you, but no matter what it is, it's not good.
So I forgot there were kickers, so I'm thinking it's probably time to take one, and I'm beginning to wonder if everybody else remembered that there's kickers too, or if they're just punting at that position, pun mildly intended, that they're just going to drop somebody later and pick up a kicker. Is that really a thing in Scott Fish Bowl where people forgo just drafting a kicker?
Not usually. I mean, it can be. We're also only doing 12 rounds. The full Scott Fish Bowl is, I don't know exactly how many rounds, but it's deeper than this. So you'll see kickers just go later. In MFL specific leagues, you can see people actually hoard kickers and attempt to lock other people out. I had a guy in my league last year do that. He drafted 9 kickers altogether.
Just playing keep away with kickers, like that's a first in fantasy football. Like I would imagine, like it's not uncommon to see people playing keep away in your typical redraft leagues with skill players at the flex position, but kickers, like now that's unheard of.
Well, and it's in MFL you can start multiple kickers, so I think you could start up to 6.
Gator Raiders, the fact that you picked Cody Parkey. But it's a mock draft. We're here to have some fun. It's not super serious, but I'm just trying to simulate this as accurately as I can. I'm glad we all had fun with this. This is a fun mock draft, Lou. So now that we've gotten through 12 rounds, first things first, before I get to this, thank you to everybody who participated in this mock draft. It looks like everybody had fun. I'm certainly hoping that's the case. Lou, who had the best mock draft here for just being a shortened 12 round here?
And I'm looking at this, and we did 12 rounds, right? So it's a little tough to say, oh, this draft was good, this draft was bad. Like, I want to say 22 rounds is normal for a Scott Fish Bowl. So we're like legitimately halfway through. And it's really, it's that second half where champions are made, right? And all that.
So Scott Fish Bowl strikes me as one that you don't win your league at the draft, but it sure helps to get a strong start in the first 12 rounds. So it's impossible to say what the remaining 10 rounds would be, but who had the best start? Let me rephrase that question for you, Lou. Who had the best start?
Well, it's a little tough to look at anyone's team and say they went in. Well, that's not true. Nate there, he went in with what I would call as close to a zero quarterback build as you're going to see. There are several people last year I saw go later, and as we get more mocks under our hats and everything like that, we'll see people push later, that sort of thing. But those are the builds that I've seen that tend to do, I don't want to say tend to do the best, but it's for whatever reason, it's just easier to find those running backs to kind of plug and play and mess with than other positions. But it's all about being, like any draft, it's about being right with the bets that you make. You make the correct calls and you're gonna do better. It's just the way it works.
So we since you pointed out Nate's roster here, so we're looking at his first 12. He waits until round 7 to go Jordan Love and then backs it up with Geno Smith. In Scott Fish Bowl, if you're punting at quarterback here and you walk away with these two as your two quarterbacks, which we have Superflex here, so it's basically two quarterbacks. Are you happy with these two as your starting two?
I'm not mad. I think one of the things that we've seen over the last couple of years is we go into draft season and like, oh man, quarterback is so deep. I can wait for forever and get a guy that I'm at least okay with starting. And with what Nate's walking away with in this mock, yes, I would say I am okay with what I'm walking away with starting. And when we get into the actual season, it just doesn't feel that way. It doesn't keep feeling deep when we actually talk about how deep the quarterback position is. We get guys like CJ Stroud, who we thought was going to be great last year and then took a monstrous step back for all the reasons. Heck, Anthony Richardson was being drafted a lot earlier and same thing happened with him. Jordan Love came out like gangbusters and then they figured out, oh, right, Josh Jacobs is Josh Jacobs and we can just use him. And, on and on it goes, right?
So with a few minutes remaining in the show here, I'd like to at least point out, shout out Vince Mapstone. You're a real one for taking the last spot here in this draft. We mentioned in the first 4 rounds earlier in the show that we liked Vince's start so far. Now that we've gotten through 12, Lou, do you feel the same about Vince's start at this point? Now that he's gotten even further with the running backs, and we pointed out that he went for the returner wide receivers, and then just went for some hype between Jennings and Freiermuth is kind of a meh tight end, but good enough to be your tight end too. And then Jordan Mason banking on Aaron Rodgers may or may not play all 17 games. What do you have to say about the rest of this, Lou?
I mean, I love Vince's team. I think Vince is, I don't want to say doing it the way you should be doing it because there's no one way to eat this Reese's. But if I had to pick one of these teams, I was like, yes, this is the one that I would want to come out with. It's Vince's. Being able to lock down, one of the two elite tight ends there between Bowers and McBride. I don't really have a preference between the two, but you got one of those two. You get your rushing quarterback in Hurts. You followed up with another rushing quarterback in Fields, who people actually like this year. 3 strong, solid running backs. And then, like, the wide receivers, they don't look sexy, but because at least 2 of them have that returning upside as well, those are a lot better options than they seem. So I'm a big fan of what he's walking away with for this 12-round mock.
I especially love the Ted McMillan pick because I have a lot of faith in him, even in a shaky Panthers offense. I think he is him, and everybody else behind him is not safe. But so we are close to about an hour in. Lou, thank you so much for joining me tonight. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to let you guys get out of here. Thank you once again to everybody who joined us for this mock draft this evening. This was a lot of fun for this way too early Scott Fish Bowl 15 mock draft. I am Evan Sather, and thanks again to Lou Brunson for joining me, as well as Nate Polvogt for joining us. Unfortunately, he could not stay for the rest of the show, but I am going to be coming to you live every single Monday night. 8:00 p.m. Eastern. We're going to get into a lot more mock drafts for a lot more than just Scott Fish Bowl up until week 1 of the NFL season. Coming to you from Optimus Fantasy. This has been Monday Night Mock Drafts with Evan. Signing off. Have a great night, everybody.